Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here for another garden chat for the week. I'm joined today by Robin from Robin Gardens.
Hi,
So we
everyone.
we expect we're going to have a good little chat, both on the other side of the pond today. So we'll have to count on our chat people from across the pond uh, to correct us if we're incorrect. But let me just say hi to everybody. I saw Rob was in early. Hi, Rob. Hi, Mel. Hi, Chris and Andrew and Siggy and Leanne and Jersey Dave and Steven. Let me see. I saw another. Oh, John King is here. Good to have you. I think there's just a couple more down there. So if I miss you, uh, I think I got everybody. Okay, we're gonna go with that. Hi, Dusty Flats. Uh, so anyway, um, Robin and I were just gabbing, and that we kind of lost track of even the time. Robin is so easy to chat with.
Oh,
But we were talking about the weird year. I think we all just, how can we not talk about how weird this gardening season's been? But
amen.
yeah, but like tomatoes, I'm thinking, am I even going to grow any next year? I mean, I will. I know I will. There's a couple I will always grow, but I'm thinking, do I really need to grow as many as I do? Maybe this going to the farmer's market is not such a bad idea. So we'll see. I say a lot of things, and then in the winter, the itch is too big, and I got to scratch it. So, so we will see. So, Robin, I saw your latest video, and you harvested some beautiful fennel, and you have so much still to harvest.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And it seems like now I know our temps are moving low quickly or quicker than I thought. Not really to freezing or frost, but to making no, not peppers. Peppers will probably survive it. But tomatoes, they're not going to like going down into the 40s, which for the UK, me try to do that math. Nope, I'm not going to be able to do it. 10 10 Celsius is that 50 or 60?
Here we go.
I need to put a big sign up here that every 10 degrees Celsius I can do a Fahrenheit number for. Sometimes I'm really good and quick, and other times I'm like, how do I turn
So
this on?
45 Fahrenheit would be 7.2 Celsius.
Okay, thank you. Uh, so it's not freezing, but it's heading that way. Uh, oh, Pauline. Oh, Pauline had COVID. Oh, I'm so
Oh,
sorry. I have, for some reason, been able to avoid it. And
me
wow,
too.
I know. I feel like, how have I
Feel
avoided that?
blessed.
Yes, because I do have a friend who I think has long COVID. And
Mm.
wow, that is nasty. So I hope you feel better very soon, Pauline. You take care of yourself.
Ooh, Dusty Flats. We were 36 this morning.
Oh,
Dusty, you are just like maybe an hour north of me, right? In the lower part of Wisconsin? Yowza, it's
wow.
coming.
Oh, that's no. See, now those numbers are not good. I don't like to see 30s.
I
I my
know.
my bones are already feeling chilly. Yeah, I don't want to see 30 for a minute.
We're
Uh,
40s at night starting, well, last night. Uh, but the days are decent and sunny. No rain in
yep.
the forecast for 2 weeks, though.
But I almost feel like when the temp is not in the 80s and 90s, or the high 20s and 30s Celsius, you can get away with a little less watering. Although I still water, even though
My
yeah.
raised beds drain so well that I'm sort of forced into it.
Yeah.
Well, I have one little show and tell. Before I sat down here to do this live, I took a picture of what this table looked like. It's a montage of
Nice.
tomatoes and different seeds to save and my journal and just, you know,
That looks
stuff.
awesome. Yeah, I was also saying that, Robin is a little more organized than I am when I bring things in. They just kind of go on the table, and I try to group them together, but half the time is I'm looking to see, is there like a wormhole in it? Maybe it needs to maybe it needs to ripen just a little bit more, like I picked it. Um, but yeah. Oh, I'm sorry you've lost the sound, Rob. I'm hoping everyone else can hear. Hi, Allie. Good to have you. Okay, so as we get into October, obviously this is we're totally into fall now. Uh, do you start to pack up your garden as you take things out, or do you wait and do like a big end of season?
No, gotta pack as we go. We took all of the tomatoes. I did 12 tomatoes. We took all of them out except the two cherries, and I pruned them like ruthlessly.
They were
And then
huge. That
this
one
Miss
that one was enormous.
the Mr. Tartars that we left on the vine is one of these guys, and it was green. And my husband was like, "We can't take it. We can't take it." I'm like, "Okay, we'll just leave it there on the vine and see if we can't get it to blood."
Oh, I wonder if could you put a little blanket around him? But it's really the
Well,
plant. You got to put it on the whole plant.
I think we'll do
Yeah.
something. It made it through last night's 44. Okay.
Okay.
Got a little more creative today and uh took the zucchini out and I put four of the potted peppers in the zucchini
Okay.
cage and they fit in nicely with the lid. So now when we go to cover it every night, it'll just be easy. You can just, no fuss.
There you
They're
go.
all, and then the two that are in the back main bed, we put two tomato cages flat, front and back, and then kind of bungeed them together. Uh, so that again, just just
Yeah,
easier.
throw something over that at night.
Because when you play the cover game, oh my goodness, it's
Oh, it's a lot of work.
it's a lot of
It is a
work.
lot of work. And your husband seems a little more garden friendly than mine is. He's like he loves to show off the garden. He loves to enjoy the fruits of the garden, but I think he would rather do anything than actually be involved with the garden.
Good.
So so I think it's great that your hubby's a little more, "Oh, I'll do that," "I'll go out and
He's
help you." Yeah, no, I
yeah.
have to kind of beg, borrow, and steal. I'm like, "Okay, what deal are you gonna make here so that,
It
uh"
definitely takes two to tango in this garden for
It
sure.
yeah, I think if you have any size at all, you just need help.
Hmm.
Extra set of hands works really well.
Well, and the
So
extra set of eyes. He notices things too, that I haven't, and that second set of eyes is
yeah,
important to catch things early.
yeah, here's the only beauty about the temperatures going down. I think our pest pressure relieves a little, don't you?
No.
No.
I have those tree rats that are,
Oh, well, they never go away. They're here they're here year round.
oh, the squirrels are just,
No,
okay,
they're
case in
they're
point.
horrifying. They're horrifying.
My neighbor that butts up to me, you probably can see her yard in my videos, gave me two hanging baskets of strawberries because she didn't think they were, that tasty. And granted, they aren't tasty, but they're strawberries. They were loaded with strawberries. A couple of them were ripe. You know, we ate them and we're like, "Mm, yeah, they're not awesome, but you know, mixed with something else,
Right.
they're going to be just fine." I went out the next day and I was like, the birds have already gotten at these. And then this morning I'm like, oh no, it is not the birds. It is the squirrels. He's
Yep.
doing a little trapeze act on the little hanging basket, eating
Sure.
the
And I
pulling them up
love
from the side and
the
eating them.
lengths that they will go to get into stuff. I mean, I really do laugh. I mean, when they, like, land awkwardly, I can't help but laugh. I'm like, "Well, you thought you were gonna land on that from, one of the power lines that's overhead?" I'm like, "Dude, you're crazy." But I
But
think it works often enough that they stick with that plan, and it does. Yeah, I saw
they can
some
leap
rabbits.
far.
Oh, and they're just it's almost like and then they dig up everything to bury those stupid nuts, and I'm like, "You don't even know where they are." Like, why don't you take them back to where you live and bury them there so that
I
you
have
might remember where to get them?
I have a habit of just right outside my patio door here, putting the kitchen scraps that are going to go directly in there, and not even bother putting them in the compost thing. So they stack up right outside the door for a couple of days. They buried nuts in that little kitchen scraps. I'm like, really? It's only been here for 2 days. How could you think
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
permanent?
no, yeah, no, they're just horrifying. So I really wouldn't mind getting rid of the squirrels, and if they wanna take the bunnies with them, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah.
So, Margaret Alice is asking, and this would also work, for Chicago because Chicago gets pretty cold. Uh, when does the cold weather get serious in Detroit? We will probably get a freeze before the end of October, or like the first week in November just goes really cold, goes down to like 28, which I'm guessing is almost that is negative on the Celsius scale. It'll do that for like a week and then it warms back up again. And it could be lovely until Christmas. But we get that killer frost that comes in for like 3 days. It doesn't really matter. It kills everything that might make it. But by the time we hit January, February, and March are normally our three. February, particularly, that is like the coldest month. Um, in March, comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. That's that old saying. If it comes in really horribly, usually I'm trying to plant out spring things at the end of March to get a jump. So what about you, Robin? When does your cold really?
Well, we are just a little colder than you because I'm a zone, a couple zones lower than you. Um, even though you're farther north than me.
It's like what way's the wind blowing, And then I look over to the UK and we're lower than the entire UK, and yet they're like very temperate because
Hmm.
of that darn uh Gulf, what is that? The Gulf Stream that goes
Yeah.
through there. So it makes absolutely no sense.
We had our
Yeah.
first snow on Halloween last year, so I'm kind of using that as my barometer. Um, but after the last of these tomatoes and then the peppers are done, there's everything else is fair game. It's cold hardy, and can take a few freezes,
Yeah.
and we'll just roll with it. Again have too many leeks for mankind, so I will. I don't know what I'll do with all of them, but that's all right. It's
Are
a
they all the garlics? Or
No, I
they
have a few garlics and I'm excited about those, but I just I have King Richard, Mercurian, and American flag. And I just have too many. But it's a good problem. I'll just make
Well, yeah, because sometimes you put them in and you're not sure how many are gonna germinate, and then it's hard to go, well, I'm just gonna pitch that one. I'm really bad at doing that.
that's my problem
I
too.
am so bad at, but then you have to start way more than you know you're gonna want because you want to make sure they all germinate. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's a bad
It's
circle.
a circle.
It is. I wish
Oh,
I really want to grow less varieties of things. I'm a variety gal. Like if I can have 10 varieties of radish, why would I only plant one variety? Well, it'd probably be a lot easier just to plant one variety. Go, this is the radish for this year. I don't know. I want to see if I could try that. I don't know if I
good
can.
luck. You
I
can't.
know. I don't I'm not making any promises. But I thought, wouldn't
Oh,
that look nice? And all the rows or circles or designs, whatever is going on, would look very pleasing because the leaves would all look the same. And but anyway, that's in my fantasy land, I think. Because if I still have radish seeds, I'm gonna plant them all.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
I
so,
yeah.
so I attacked the Anaheim peppers this week because um, they were just coming on full, and I dehydrated them, and it took a minute to process all those, and then this is all the powder that I have after all the work. Oh, it's
Now,
gonna be
how many peppers
delicious.
do you think that was?
Oh gosh, it has to be tw 25 or 30 at least. And they're
Okay,
decent sized peppers,
they
the
they're a good
Anaheims.
sized pepper. Yeah,
And I mean, I got this many seeds in
well,
total.
nice.
So that's good for the seed library. Um, but it kind of makes you wonder if it's worth it or not. It'll be worth
Well,
it.
here's what I think everyone's feeling a little bit this year is, huh, it was a difficult year, and I mean, I'm not even jamming my garden full of stuff to try to get more lettuce in, or I'm just like, nah, I'll just buy it because I think I'm just discouraged. So I think it's a good thing, at least for me this year, to have a break and get that itch coming again for the spring. Um, but maybe get less of an itch. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know if that will happen. Uh,
It's not gonna work, Audrey.
I know it's not. Like I thought it was so wise of me that I stopped growing corn because of the dang squirrels, and all they do is wait till it's perfect, and then they go climb up and eat, take enough bites out of each piece that I want nothing to do with it. Because I'm like, rodents, eh, nope, I'm not sharing an actual piece of food with you. I'm sorry. Be happy to
So
give you a cob of corn if that would make you go away, but it won't.
So I did the sunflower challenge on Linda's channel, The Feel Good Garden, and oh, there's Apple. Um, uh, and it's not going to be the biggest one, but it was good size. My brothers were here. They helped me and Al get up there. We got it measured, and I got a little video for her. The very next day, the squirrels had been there in the night and toppled every one of them and broke them over. And I was like, oh, that sucks. But oh, thank God I got the video first.
Yeah, because what are you going to do? Tie it up with a pole? Go, this is how tall it would have been had this stupid squirrel not climbed up to the top.
Oh,
Yeah, no, they're just
naughty. They're
they're
naughty.
sad. They're very sad creatures. Uh oh, Jersey Dave is asking, "Oh, let me tell the story. How's the freeze dryer?" Okay, well, it's
Ah,
here, and we have tried to run it a few times. We're having an error message, which I talked to them about this morning, that the vacuum is not or the pressure is not sealing the vacuum or so we have to fiddle around with the door a little bit. We're going to do that tonight because I'm like, I got 90 days. So I'm counting. I'm going to return at day 89 but if we're still messing with it by then, it'll be way earlier than my 90 days. Here's the thing we both feel, and my husband's very mechanical. He's a woodworker. But he's like, I don't really feel trained on how to manipulate this gasket and this piece of plexi. And I said, well, we're going to do what they say in the videos that they put out. And if it doesn't work, I'm just going to be the squeaky wheel. Like, then send me a new unit. Like, you're welcome to come get this one and send me a new one. So I'm not giving up yet, but I am disappointed that I've been trying to dry bread for over a week.
so tell me about the noise level.
Not as bad as I would have thought.
Okay.
It's like, you have a dehydrator. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's slightly louder, but just slightly louder than a dehydrator.
Okay.
Because my dehydrator's running right now. I can hear it barely. And when the freeze dryer was on, I could not hear it. And I'm about my house is like an L. So that's at one end of the L and I'm at the other end. And I really couldn't hear it. So I'm very pleased about that because it might end up going in this closet behind me
Oh,
because it's on my dining room table right now. Everything's on the dining room table right now.
me too.
Yeah. So I want to, I want to not have it there. It's a little bit large to just be sitting there like, don't mind this huge machine that's right next to you. Um, Dusty Flats is asking what those freeze dryers do to the electric bill. I am going to monitor that, but from what I have watched from people who use it, you maybe do a couple kilowatt hours to run a full load. So it turns out to be like maybe $1. So from what I understand, it's not horribly expensive. It might even be cheaper than a freeze dryer. Just depends on the motor and all the other things that are happening.
Cheaper than a dehydrator, right? You meant.
I
Then,
think. Oh, what did I
yeah.
say? Freeze dryer?
Yeah, that's okay.
Reading and talking is not my gift. And yeah, I find that I do that a lot here.
So,
Yes.
so I've heard that before, that it's cheaper than running a dehydrator.
Yeah.
So I think
And
you're correct.
yeah, and that could be because the dehydrator's kicking out heat the whole time,
Hmm.
and freeze drying only kicks heat on at the end. So that may have something to do with it. Let's see. Well, Margaret Alice has had a great year. Wow, that's the first person I've heard say that this year. I grew from a seed packet California Wonder peppers that turned out to be the best peppers
Chilies.
ever.
How hot were they, Margaret?
Oh, so they turned into chilies.
Hmm.
Oh, wow, I've never had that happen.
Peppergate. It continues. Well, my Corona de
Pepper.
Toro that I bought at the nursery wasn't a Corona de Toro. It was a mild chili of some sort.
Oh, I love Corno de Toros. They're
Yeah.
such a good pepper. They are such a good pepper, but not if they're going to be hot.
And
Okay,
I mean, I like a bit of heat, but Al, not so much. And he's the first one to grab the one off
and take a nice bite out of it and go, nope.
Yeah, he was not amused.
Yeah, we don't buy green peppers here. I grow poblanos. And they have a little heat, but I mean, they're not even jalapeno hot. So I just have Kevin deal with it. I'm like, sorry. If you want a stuffed pepper, it's going to be stuffed into a poblano. Oh, wow. Dusty Flats is saying it went up $100. Well, I will definitely be keeping an eye on that because that's like that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Huh. So when you
Wow.
so when you start to put your beds away, okay, let's say you're going to go in and tear out all your tomato plants. What do you do to prep it for the winter?
We stuff the compost pile with as much as we can, and then the leaves that fall as well. And then I usually order in 4 yards of an organic leaf mold compost,
Okay.
and we put that on. And so it's ready to go then in the spring.
Okay.
Uh, Garlic will be the one thing I put in um, to overwinter, but otherwise the ground the beds will have nothing. I broke down and bought a green stalk.
Okay.
Uh, but it's still in the box. I had high hopes of getting some strawberries in
Yeah.
um and moved, but now I don't think I have the energy or the time with what's going on in my life otherwise to do it. So it's just gonna have to wait till the spring, which is fine.
Yeah. Now the one thing about those, you got to water them a lot.
Hmm.
So they have a kit for the watering, and I have that attached to a timer, and that's made all the difference. So I run it for 5 minutes every morning, and I've never had such beautiful plants in there. So I guess it's little and awesome, or little and
Little
often,
often.
yes.
Mhm.
And sometimes during like the 99, the 95-degree days, I'd give them another drink mid-afternoon.
Mhm.
Uh, but that made such a difference to get them watered consistently.
You know those DIY towers I made from the
Mhm.
dollar store
Yeah.
ones? Now, I only poked out one hole in the bottom of each of the pots. Um, because of what people said about them
Yeah.
drying out too much. And honestly, I did not have a problem. And they are smaller
Oh, way
pockets
smaller, way
than the
smaller,
green stalk.
way smaller.
So, I that's what encouraged me to go ahead and pop for the green stalk. Plus, another I don't have to bend to grow things.
Right. And it's not like it's the most horrible thing to have to water them every day. It's just particularly once the heat kicks in for summer, they're needy for water, but they grow things so nicely.
I,
So
I'm
nicely.
I'm pleased. I think it was a really worthwhile decision. But it's just not going to happen this fall. It'll happen in the spring.
Oh yeah. And I've seen them where they're filled with petunias or filled totally with the same flower, and ones that kind of spill out. So you almost don't see the green stalk at all, and it's this pillar of flowers. Absolutely gorgeous.
I've seen
Um,
a lot of videos with successful peppers. Did you do peppers in
yes,
yours?
I've done peppers. They do great.
Okay.
And the little, what are we going to call those little rodents that run around our yard that we don't like?
Chipmunks?
No, the squirrels.
Oh,
I
the
want to come up with a more like a
tree rats.
gangster name for them or something insulting, but they do not. They can maybe reach the bottom one, but that's it. These I've never seen a squirrel climb it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that to me alone is like worth having an entire garden full with them. keeps. And I have grown small squash in there.
Oh, really?
Like the ones that are not. They're very short vined, and they did well. I mean, you really can plant anything in it.
All right. I'm kind of excited. It I think I'm trying to even remember what I ordered, but I think I ordered one that has like mixed size pockets. There was the original and then there's the deep pockets. So I think I have a combo of both. Or the
Okay,
leaf.
yeah, because I think they now sell them as a combo. So mine are no, I have two of the big pockets and one with the small pockets.
Okay.
And I mean, they all do great. They all do great. So, and now they have them where there's basket weave print, not print, but it's molded. So it looks like basket weave. So I
I can't
guess the,
remember. I think it's mine is blue with the basket weave. It's sad. I mean, I did this like 2.5 months ago.
well, you've been busy. This has been a lot of a summer.
It is.
So
It has.
it has been a lot of a summer.
Mm,
Rob is saying he bought his garlic from Malvern.
mm.
Now, Malvern is like a gardening show. And please, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like a gardening show where you can go and see things. And there's some vendors there that you can maybe get things from.
Oh, Rob, one bulb of elephant garlic at Malvern was selling for 14 pounds. Wow.
Yeah, don't you find elephant garlic like ridiculously expensive here?
Um, well, mine was $2 a bulb at the farmer's market.
Oh, never thought about buying it at the farmer's market.
Yeah, that's where I get mine because I know that it's grown locally. Hey, Rob, that video that you made was really good of Malvern too, with all the giant veg. That was fun. That was a good watch.
Yeah, doesn't that just make you scratch your head though? When you see these enormous vegetables? We don't have that. We don't have shows like that. Have you ever seen a
About
giant?
the only thing they do are the giant pumpkins. I've
Yeah, but
seen that
yeah, where you put it on a forklift and you
competition.
have to drive it in. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I've never seen like the world's biggest carrot. No, I've never seen that. And over in the UK, like there's special tanks built for these people that grow this huge stuff.
It's cool.
Yeah. Um, okay, so you take care of yours. Oh, I had a question for you. Your compost pile.
Hmm.
How, because you live in suburbia like I do,
Hmm.
how does that work for you?
So, I mean, I could have a compost pile if I wanted, a 3 bin, but I have one of those geo bins. It's about 4 foot around, plastic uh, bin that's got air holes in it.
Hmm.
And I made two trellises that are kind of curved in front of it, and then I have a sweet autumn clematis growing up the front.
Okay.
So for us, all we see is the sweet autumn clematis.
Okay, so you see the pretty part of it.
And my neighbors have a solid wall of hedge on the backside, so they don't see the back of it anyways.
Okay. And you don't,
But
well, no, I guess it's not on the ground, so it's not like squirrels are getting into it or
oh, they do. They mess in it. But they they can't be bothered. They don't find it that interesting.
okay, so they're
Uh,
not looking for worms and stuff, which usually is
no,
in a compost.
uh, no, they're not really big worm eaters.
Okay.
They go for other
Squash,
stuff.
squash that they will never finish eating. Just take one or two
Uh,
bites out of and move on to the next one to
I
make
kind of
sure that we get nothing.
I
Yeah.
kind of don't put anything that has seeds in my compost bin just because
Well,
I'm
that makes
lazy and I don't want to have to pull them as weeds later in my beds. So,
True, but I've seen some people grow like amazing pumpkins, like that they've put seeds in on purpose
mhm,
out of their compost bin because
mhm.
the soil is so rich. And I think, oh, that would be interesting.
I think that's why the sweet autumn does so well. You know, oh, I picked this up at a Starbucks. They had them all uh fagged up the grounds
Uh-huh.
for the compost bin. But then I went back to get more and they're like, "Oh, well, we've stopped that for the year." And I'm like, "Really? This is when you really want to be
Yeah, because
composting."
I'm throwing all my stuff in here. Um, we have a local, I think Einstein's. Is there Einstein's in
Mhm.
Chicago? Okay. So it's nationwide, I imagine. But our local one says if we drop off a 5-gallon bucket, they'll fill it up and then they're like, just bring another one and we'll just keep dumping it in there.
Oh,
S-
that's fabulous. My girlfriend used to do that when she owned the coffee shop here in town. Um, you drop it off at the beginning of the day and pick it up at the end of the day. But I never knew a chain would do that. How kind.
Yeah. And we really haven't taken advantage of that, but I'm thinking with all the stuff we're going to have to start doing things with. Okay, this is hilarious, Steven. This is really funny. I think he shares our love for squirrels. The squirrels climb my stairs to my upper deck. They bring a tomato with them. They sit on the handrail and they take a few bites, and then they leave it there for me to. Ah, they say, "Look what I can do." Yeah, I love it when they eat it so much that they just leave the skin and go, "Oh, we're too precious to eat the skin on a tomato. Can't you grow these with no skin, please?" Yeah, little. I don't. I'm not gonna do a swear about the squirrels. I'm tempted, but I'm not gonna do it. Um, okay, so you also uh, you have a lot of perennials in mixed in with your garden, don't you?
Hmm.
So those you just cut back for the winter.
Yeah, like the oregano and the thyme and that that kind of stuff. I may leave a couple of leeks in because I had a leek come back that I saved seed from this year.
Okay.
And I had purposely done bunching onion that I left in, and it came back nicely so I could save seed from it this year. Um, and I may leave a celery because that was cool. I got a lot of seed from one plant. And I have to tell you, I mean, I have a lot of blooms all the way around my whole yard. And I've got somewhere between a third and a half of an acre total. It's a big triangle, but it's
Okay.
it's a big yard. But the bees, as far as what they like nothing better than some vegetable that's gone to
To see.
flower.
Yep.
It's like the best thing for the bees. So I didn't really realize that until I started wanting to collect seeds. And so now
Yes.
I know, if we want to keep the bees happy, we need to let some of our vegetables go to flower.
Yeah. And then we have to find a way to get them distracted so you can cut off the parts that you really want to get seeds from. Those umbellifers, I mean, they put out those beautiful flowers, but then you're like, well, I have to cut that little head off so I can get all those seeds out of there.
Well, by the
But they're
time the blossoms are done and they've gone to seed, the bees
they're
are
not
on to
interested.
something
Okay,
else.
good. They're not as
Yeah,
interested.
yeah. But
Well, that's
it, I tried to do lettuce too, but I've got to figure out a different system because every lettuce that I let, go to seed flopped over and in the wind and uprooted. So
okay.
I never got anything all the way to seed any of the lettuces. So I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of a bracing system for when I let a lettuce go to seed, because
Yeah.
apparently their roots are just too fragile in a
Yeah,
good wind.
unfortunately, mine did not flop over, and I had this mass of flowers on my lettuce because I let my spring lettuce go too long.
Uh-huh.
And like I have not done the best at what is it? It's not sequential sowing. You know,
Succession.
succession. Thank you. I have not done the best job with it this year. Usually I'm on that. This year it wasn't in me. It wasn't.
No.
So I'm giving myself grace to go, it's okay. You don't have to do everything every year. It's okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading Mama's Oasis is saying horseradish is taking over, came out the bottom of the pot now in the greenhouse. Going to have to weed kill it this winter and hope for the best. You know what you can do with horseradish, which this is also the first garden I have not had a horseradish in. You just dig it up and you take what you want and you whack off what you don't, or you really reduce the size, and you could put it back in and keep the plant a little more under control. But those can be dug up, and even if you crack a root while you're pulling it up, it's hard to kill horseradish. So I think maybe it's a better idea to play nice with it and help keep it under control. Particularly if it's in the pot, I would think you could just pop that whole thing out. Um, yeah, but they're a very hard vegetable to kill. At least that's been my experience. That has been my experience with them. And do you like horseradish? I mean, it's fabulous fresh. It's wonderful.
I like horseradish and so does Al, but we don't go through much. I mean, I can buy a little jar and it's gonna last us for 6 months or more.
So you don't want to put up horseradish for the next 20 years? But isn't that kind of like that's how I think now when I look at a perennial or something that's going to keep coming back? Like, do I really want to put that up for 20 years? I don't have kids at home anymore. It's not like, anyway, life is different. So, I'm like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. Maybe that's why I don't have one in this garden because I think, do I really? No, I don't really need one. Because there really are a lot of really good canned horseradishes out there, like those little jars. Those
Yeah.
are, yeah. And if you get one we have a city near Detroit called Hamtramck, and Hamtramck used to be kind of when folks were coming over here, that became a highly condensed Polish community. I mean, you said Hamtramck, it's where definitely the mass of Polish people lived.
Hmm.
And if you could find a horseradish that came out of a Polish shop, it's kind of like their sauerkraut and stuff. Nothing better. So I always look for a Polish brand when I go after horseradish because it's so good.
We have so many pockets of concentrated Polish population, actually right here in my town. So we have a lot of good delis and
Oh
Polish
yeah.
delis and things to, you know, choose from. That's where you get the best borscht.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's always good to, and that's where the punchkis. I used to work in our downtown area, and every punchki day, it's like who's volunteering to go buy the 100 dozen. That was a very big firm I worked for, so it was like who's going to go buy the 100 dozen punchkis.
Mm.
And you would never think to buy them anywhere but in Hamtramck because they were just the best.
Hmm.
So yeah, I love all those little nooks and crannies of places that you live. Um,
So do you ever cover crop?
I've tried it. And this year maybe I'll try it again. But here's the problem. I don't start it early enough. Because putting out seed right now, I'm not going to get much. Although I am putting catnip seed out right now, but that's perennial. This was red clover, and it's supposed to leave, the roots with nitrogen in the soil, and
Mhm.
they didn't come up in the winter. They came up in the spring when I wanted to plant things.
Uh,
So it was. I almost think I needed to start it months and months earlier. But again, I've waited too late. I think
See,
to.
I've got everything planned, and so there's just like no place to give it a go. Had I known my melons were going to go down in a fiery blaze with the cucumber beetle, I would have had a pack of
Oh,
something ready to, try
didn't they
it
know
there.
it was not a cucumber they were munching on?
Oh my gosh. When the first time I grew was with the Transatlantic Melon Challenge, and I'm like, cool. I stepped out of my box and really tried something that I hadn't tried before. Then I did it again, and good luck. And then this year they were going great, great guns, and then they weren't.
Well, I have one under a wire basket right now that I'm hoping to get at least one melon. So we will see. Better come soon because they don't like cold weather either.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Well, hi, Bet. Bet's saying she's from Ann Arbor and totally agrees on the Polish food. I went to college in Ann Arbor, Bet, so I know exactly where you are. Uh, oh, hi, Laura. Good to have you. And Bet, nice to have you from Ann Arbor. Lovely. So yeah, I'm gonna prep my beds for winter a little differently. I
Hmm.
think I'm not gonna put my compost on until the spring, which is unusual. I usually do it in the fall, but I'm going to put uh, the black plastic weed barrier on and see if that makes any kind of difference.
Okay.
So
With your weed pressure.
yes,
Okay.
and with my bed prep because I mean, I do no dig,
Hmm.
so my weed pressure is pretty low. But I've also done some reading, and there's something about just keeping all the water a little less. Uh, don't let so much like drain through your soil in the winter, so that having a black weed barrier, it'll still let it through, but it won't let it through at the same level. I don't know if that's true because we get snow and we get rain. But I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try because I have the weed barrier. So I thought I'm gonna try something different this year and see if that makes spring a little uh, more vigorous by putting
Okay.
on some new compost instead of letting it sit for the year. So it's just I've seen some people do it. I've read up on it, and I thought, very worth maybe a shot because
Hmm.
I would love to have a better growing year next year. But I think it's the weather. I believe wholeheartedly so much of this was the weather that we all got.
Yeah. One thing that I'm kind of looking forward planning is I want to do more of the winter sowing right in the beds. I did just a little
Yes.
bit of that, but it was so successful.
Yes.
And having it come up right in the bed, didn't have
So
to
you don't
move
have
it.
to pull it apart. You don't have
And
to.
it's just like, yeah, I'm all in. I am going to really expand that experiment next year.
Well, I have so many jugs that I'm saving
Hmm.
that I feel the same way. Like I'm going because this was our most successful year with that. So I'm going hard on the winter sowing, but I also have a lot of jug tops. And I think I'm going to do that exact thing. Like I'm going to put some of this. in place, particularly like my early lettuces and spinach. I mean, arugula, the minute it hits 68, arugula goes to seed for me.
Yeah,
So I want it growing when it's still in the 40s outside. So that,
absolutely.
yeah, so maybe I'll get some.
And the milk jug, just cut the bottom off the milk jug, and then I took a hole punch, put a hole punch at both sides, and then a landscape staple, held that
Beautiful.
right in the earth, and it
Hmm.
just, I mean, I can't say enough. I did also get a big tote, and I never did use it, where I drilled some holes in a large plastic tote
Mhm.
um, to do some other, I think I'm going to try like spring onions, arugula, mustard greens. Um, and
Which,
I'm gonna try to make it easier. I am going to
yes,
press the easy button.
yes, because those little containers are a lot of work,
Hmm.
not just to take care of, but then to plant and deal with. Um, I
And
agree.
I took all I took all my plant starts with me from here up to the Door County House, home again here. And I ended up having two complete sets of lights, up there and here for my dang little onion
'Cause
seeds.
they're
And
your little, they're your little babies. You gotta take them with you, right?
I know,
Uh,
but it's still, uh,
oh, hi,
it's
Danny's
kind
in
of
the house.
crazy.
Danny's here.
Oh, the party can start now.
That's right. I love it.
I see Carrie's in here too from Dog on the Plot.
Oh, hi. Gosh, I've been gabbing, so I kind of looked away.
Oh,
Uh,
Danny, that new polytunnel that you've got planned? Woo, that is gorgeous.
yeah, and it's automatic everything.
Hmm.
I wonder if you can get it to plant your vegetables for you. Yeah, that's gonna be a tripped out little polytunnel. Absolutely. So, Margaret's asking if I'd ever considered covering beds with cardboard. Uh, I haven't. When I was first starting my no dig, everything got cardboard over it. I'm not sure it would stay where it's supposed to stay uh, if I used cardboard. Uh, and I think just because maybe I'm lazy, I'd rather just take off the weed suppressing fabric in the spring and roll it up and use it again next year if it works. If
The
that works.
advantage to the weed suppressing fabric is that it's got those little bitty holes. So it is letting some moisture through where the cardboard is, well, I guess it would trap moisture, but wouldn't be free flowing,
Correct.
like the weed fabric.
And but I think it would be almost you're going to be waiting to have it disintegrate. I mean, I think that would be the goal. Use cardboard, and I think depending on how wet our winter is, that might go uh, well or not.
It
Uh,
worked marvelously for me up on the Wisconsin property. I put a couple layers of cardboard with probably about 5 or 6 inches of wood chip on top of it, in an area where I had a really tough perennial weed that grows up there in the woods, and it worked marvelously.
yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I put it right over grass. Grass that has been here
Hmm.
for. I mean, this home was built in what 45 or something, so the grass has been around for a minute, and it took it out beautifully. I mean, I don't have any more grass growing in any of those beds. So, yeah, I think cardboard really has an advantage. But I'm trying not to buy as much from Amazon right now. So I don't know how my cardboard collection is going. And I'm not getting any uh, e bikes like Tony gets. So he has all this cardboard. So, although I do have,
You need to live next door to my neighbor. He gets something every day.
well, I kind of laugh between us and my neighbor to my left. There's usually an Amazon truck, either going to their house or my house. But I guess I have the freeze dryer box, but I might be hanging on to that if we can't get this thing to freeze. So that'll be next week's dilemma solved. Hopefully by next week, it will be freeze drying happily because I'm not even harvesting all my herbs yet because I want to freeze dry them. I've heard such great results from freeze drying those. So
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I hope so. Here's hoping.
It would
Oh,
rehydrate so much differently than doing it by the dehydrator, which is how I do it, to
yeah, I
freeze
guess,
dry them.
but apparently basil still tastes like fresh basil. And I think, oh my goodness, can you imagine just throwing that into like a pasta sauce and going, oh my goodness. Yeah, I just picked it. Sure, I did. Danny's saying he has enough cardboard for everybody. Well, I'm glad somebody has a shopping addiction. That's good. Keep the economies rolling. Okay, I need to stop reading because then I lose my train of thought.
I know.
So, do you do anything special for the holidays in your garden? Let me ask you that. This might be.
Well, it's put to sleep by then, but we do put Christmas lights out there. I've got that one 7 foot tall obelisk that's in the ring,
Uh-huh.
the center ring, and we will decorate that with lights, and it looks cute. But yeah, I have done my cold frame. I have a small, probably 3 foot by 2 foot cold frame in the garden, and I've done lettuce and onions and spinach. I did some last year too, but I don't think I'm going to do that this year. I'm just going to get started with the winter sowing early, directly in the soil and go that route rather than trying to keep the stuff going all winter.
Yeah. No,
I
I
tend
think
to
that's
get aphids in that um in that cold frame
you
along
did.
about the end of February,
Wow.
beginning of March.
It's a little early for them, isn't it?
I know. And then it's just you open it up and you're like, wow, that's a big population.
Well, here's one thing I started doing on my dining room table and in my kitchen where everything's laying out. I'm using those little they're like covers for things that if you're doing something outside, a dinner outside that you can
Hmm.
hop over so that the bees don't just.
Yep.
I'm using them inside now to stop the fruit flies or because we kind of got a little seemed like what I'd call an infestation because they were just loving the tomatoes and if there's a crack they're all over it. But since I've done that, it has really cut that. Like we have the occasional one now, and I'm thrilled with that. And I don't know where I saw that. It was not an original idea. I saw someone do it, and I thought that is brilliant.
I had to get rid of the Resistimate pocketbook, the Traveler tomatoes that have all those cool different ones that you can pull off. Because what was happening is they were ripening at different times. So you were waiting for the whole thing to get ripe, and
In the meantime,
something was getting overripe, and then it just became a fruit fly, haven in the house. So, I mean, and they weren't
yeah,
that
they're
tasty.
just so annoying. They're bothersome.
You
They're
know how
not
I
like
got rid of them?
squirrels. They're not like squirrels. They're just annoying. Like,
Annoying.
get out of my what are you doing?
You just take apple cider vinegar, put them in, you pick your vessel, put saran wrap over the top tight and then poke a couple, 2, 3 holes in there. They can fly in, but they can't figure out how to get back out, so they die in there. And that's how I got rid of the fruit flies. But it took them probably 3 weeks of, having
Yeah,
those
I,
traps
I have
around.
a thing similar to that, only there's one of those yellow sheets of death, sticky sheets of death rolled
Okay.
around the stuff's in the center, and this is around the ramekin. So when they're either flying in or flying out, they get to stick to the tape.
Okay.
And it's kind of gross, but I'm like, well, you can see we have a lot have left the building. So
It,
I'm always happy about that. Like,
yeah.
although I
It
did find one in my freeze dryer yesterday because we had the door open because we were, I thought these things, and all it is soggy bread in there. It's still my first trying to run the soggy bread things through. So I thought, well, I guess they'll just land on anything that looks decay-like. Uh,
yeah. It's it's uh it's nuts. As far as annoying things though, those are easy to control.
oh
We
yeah,
we deal
they're
with
not.
so many, like
Yeah,
the cucumber beetle. I have no, I mean, they're gonna come and they're gonna destroy and they're gonna take it out, and I have nothing I can do. There's nothing.
yeah, because those probably require a little bit more of a aggressive pesticide than I would care to use. Right? I mean, yeah.
I haven't found anything that sounds like I'd want it in my garden.
Oh, Chris, this is interesting. Anyone got any big projects to do over the autumn? I've got a polytunnel and greenhouse to erect. So, are you asking for assistance? I'm not. Well, maybe if you let folks know what city you're in, uh, they might be inclined to come and lend a hand. I think a lot of those, at least a polytunnel, I do believe is a two-person job, at least to get the plastic on. Uh, that sure would be easier with the second set of hands. Um, okay, so oh my goodness, are at the hour
Hmm.
already. I thank you so much for the active chat. I love going back and reading what I miss because I just sometimes when I really get reading it, my mind blanks and I forget that I need to talk as well. So, thank you, Robin. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Always,
you.
always delightful to talk with you. Uh, and I love that your weather and my weather, although different, are pretty similar. It seems like what happens to you happens to us a few days later. So it's a nice way to kind of figure out what's coming. Uh, but I hate that you have to go through it first. But I'm thankful that you have a good attitude about it. So, and everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Um, it's not lost on me that you all are here in live time, and I really appreciate you giving up some of your day to be here with us. So, have a wonderful week gardening or cleaning up or harvesting or, you know, reseeding for those that have a much lovelier climate than we do. And I will see you next week, same time, same place. Bye now.
Bye.